Okay, so we're here starting the fifth vlog, and people should know who we are by now. Otherwise, there'll be little names on us. Hi, Nikos, how are you doing?
Hello, Jacob. I'm fine, as
How's
always.
the weather in Greece?
It's nice. I guess it's nicer than Scotland. So
Yeah, wrap it in. You know, after I dropped you off at the airport Friday morning, I was driving back over the bridge, and you'll know it's just 6 in the morning, but our viewers, listeners, or whatever they are, won't notice. So I dropped you off at 6 in the morning at the airport, and when I came back over the bridge, which is quite far over the ground, it was very icy, and I lost control of the car.
wow.
And all the training just kicked in, don't hit the brakes, just steer it gently towards and so on. And luckily there was no one in the other lane and no incident. But yeah, no, that was a close one. Winter's coming because Barra got it right. So today we're talking about the game that broke the internet. Just to go with these, whatever fake news things advertisers bring up. I'm of course not talking about this little thing in New York, but about the real thing, the Bundesliga, where Arturs Neiksans from, he's Latvian, isn't he?
I think so, but
I think he's Latvian. He played a fascinating game with Ernesto in Kiev, really an amazing ending. And I'm just going to show two very little things from it because it's very interesting. But he put analysis of the end game on YouTube himself, and it's like 43-minute video. And around here, Nikos will put up a link. So you can click and see it, and I think it's really worth seeing. It's a very fascinating position, and it comes with two fortresses, and I'm really enthralled by fortresses, almost in a psychotic way. But the first one here is in the game he took with the rook, but let's see what happens if he takes with the bishop. So he loses a piece. Let's move a few moves ahead. So we get some position like this, just a few moves ahead. And, we can sort of get to this type of positions many different ways, and let's not go into the details. The main point of it is it's a fortress. And the reason for it is, and it's beautiful. Of course, you could get perpetual with the rook, because if you lose the rook, it's stalemate, but you can also do the simple one, which is rook takes g4. And this is a really pretty stalemate.
wow.
So this was the one thing that happened. Okay, let's people can go into the details in the YouTube video from Arturs. By the way, he's a really lovely person. So big thank you to him for putting up there. I just debated very briefly this on Facebook after he had made aware to the world that it had happened, this game. And he's really a lovely guy, and he's working very hard on his chess, and I think he'll be a really strong player eventually. Now he's only like 26-40 or something, but eventually he'll be really strong. So here let's move a bit forward. So white chose to give up the exchange. And this endgame should be theoretically winning, but it's not so easy. It's still possible to make mistakes. If we go ahead a little bit, then we get some position here, which is a win. But black makes a mistake there, around here.
Rook h6.
Yeah, rook h6. Here, if he's played rook b3 and rook h3 and attacked the pawn, he would still win. We this time will remember to put up the PGN file early, and you'll be able to see that the black is winning here. I don't think we want to go into the details, but I just want to show the fortress that could have happened in the game here. Here, h3. And okay, if you exchange the pawn, it's immediate draw, so g3 and bishop g4. And we just wait. There's just king g1, king g2 is just immediate draw. It's a very interesting fortress. There's no way for it. The point is, if the rook comes to the second rank, and you put the pawn g2, white plays king h2 and just waits for the king there. I think. If king goes to e3, we go back to g1. It goes to f4, we go to h2. You will not be able to get your king to f2 or to g3 with black. It's just not going to happen. So the fortress is impenetrable, which is not always the case, but it is. It's a draw. He didn't see this, and he lost the game. We can maybe just show the last moves of the king in the game, and then you can show me what you did. So obviously we can see the influence of incremental time control here. And there, and the pawn goes and over. But I think a really, really interesting in-game. It's quite high-level stuff, but really fascinating. And I do really recommend, if you have the 45 minutes, even to watch it out of the corner of your eye, you should watch Artur's YouTube video.
In my experience, endgames with rooks versus bishops are seen in practice quite often. The varieties of such endgames, I mean.
Yeah, it happens often in my games and in John games, but maybe it's because we can't handle knights and we try to exchange them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the statistics. By the way, I should probably have said at the beginning that Nikos is working very hard on learning the beep function, so that if I say something I shouldn't say, he can just beep me out. Okay, so I have a question for you, actually. I know you have something you want to show, but I have a brief question. What's your opinion on Carlsen not showing up for the press conference after game 8?
It was not so clear, because from what I understood, the press conference, Carlsen was there for quite some time, and at some point, the press conference simply was not happening. So it was not clear that he was entirely his fault. I think it was, I'm not sure. I think that at some point we will have our friend Sotiris Logothetis, who is there, and most probably he will explain us a couple of things like that. But I mean, for me, it's not clear that it is Carlsen's fault.
Well, and FIDE made a statement where they said that it was normal that they were giving interviews on the way to the press conference, just quick interviews. Kayakin was doing that, but Carlsen didn't want to. And then Carlsen went and he waited for 95 seconds before he made these hand gestures, let's go, which was not throwing things or something. It was just to his manager saying, let's go. And they left. I personally don't think that's an issue. I think Kayakin is the person everybody wanted to talk to, and they can ask Carlsen at a point where he's maybe going to be, it's not going to be painful for him to talk candidly about what he did right and wrong, and after the match could be a good time. I remember the press conference after Game 7 in Moscow in 2012 when Gelfand won against Anand. Anand was...
He was not talking at all.
Well, he was, but it was monosyllabic, and it was bordering on being rude. He probably didn't use any rude sentence formations at all, but the way he was speaking was just unpleasant to listen to, and I thought at the time, like, why force this man to talk now? It didn't make sense to me. So let's see the next thing. So
okay, what I wanted to show is this little thing that I missed in playing 1e4 in 5. King's Gambit. It's the first chapter of the book. when I recommend this knight f6 move. Lots of people loved it because it's a very nice shortcut for black. But what I missed is actually in this position the move queen e2. Actually, several people told me that there was.
You missed queen e2.
Yes.
That's quite interesting. I should have. I didn't look at your book at all in the process. I don't have time to look at everything, yeah. And because for me this was actually the main move I remember from my childhood.
Yes, and the funny thing is that together with my book, there was another book on the market by a Swedish IM, Lokander, which is a really nice book, I would say. And he recommended exactly this variation, I mean, with knight f6 and knight h5. I didn't know at the time when I wrote my chapter. And he also missed queen e2. I think that we both missed queen e2 is because there are no recent games on that. But it has been played in a very serious game, which is Keres versus Alekhine, 1942 in Salzburg. I think it was one of those tournaments where the Nazis were forcing those players to play in.
I'm not sure they were exactly forced.
Okay, yeah, it's a controversy what was happening there. I don't have a clear opinion, but yeah.
But playing chess also don't make you responsible for war crimes. So.
Yes, of course. Keres actually has played this move twice. I think the second time he faced it, his opponent played g6 and he won very easily. We actually see White's idea here is to play bishop d2 and castle long. His opponent here went wrong actually, and now White was much better because he
went back on f4 and there's knight b4 coming and.
Yeah,
sure, e2 is coming, so there's a lot of good ideas here.
Yeah, but after queen e2, it's not that the black has any theoretical problems. If he plays bishop e7 and castles, in the game versus Alekhine here, Keres played g4, and it was not a great idea, I would say. Here, d6 was possible, and black can develop this way. Alekhine played d5 and played here an f6 and won a very nice game. In the PGN, briefly, our viewers will find some analysis after knight h3, which is most probably...
Hopefully readers as well.
Yeah, hopefully readers. Now I think there are two ways for black to play. d6 is what I recommend generally in the book, because our enemy is the e5 pawn. If e5 pawn goes out of the way, our knight can return to f6 whenever we would like this to happen. And after something like that, I think that black is generally fine. He can play his queen to c7 and take an e5 at some point. But also the way Alekhine played in the game with d5, I think is reasonable. And here there are two ways. One way is to play f6, followed by g6. This is less risky way to play for black. But he can also go for c5 with the idea to develop quickly and the game is more sharp. I don't want to go to details. Our viewers will find details in the PGN. But yes, queen e2 is something I missed in my book. I don't think it's something very important. But okay, Keres has played it, so I think it's a miss actually.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Yeah, the only thing I can add to this is I think the reason why both you and Lokander recommended this line was maybe because of John showed in his book The King's Gambit that black was fine here.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
and it is different from the Trot and Pat. And when I remember when helping with that book and looking at it, this was one of the lines I thought I would definitely want to play for black if I had a chance. Simply because it looked interesting.
Actually, John recommended this to me, so...
there you go.
Yeah.
But, we publish, 10, 15 books a year, and they're 400 pages on average, so that's 6,000 pages. So sometimes I don't look careful in everything, even if I do see every page of every book. So So it's a shame I didn't notice this, because this I actually knew was a move here. But as we have had debates on the website after last week's vlog, then we do make mistakes, and all the time. And we're not proud of it. We're also not ashamed of it. We just try to move on. And the main thing I always think is that we're trying to do our best, and people in general find that our best is useful for them, which is all I'm going for.
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much for your time, Nikos.
Okay, thank you, Jakob. Bye-bye.
So next week, and same bat channel. See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.